Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. It is November 3rd. That's crazy. November 3rd, 2024. We are literally the year's over at this point. Like, let's just be so for real. It's gone. Um, because this is, the American holiday season. So it's just one blink and it's gonna be gone because we get so caught up in all of our days and stuff like that. So yeah, so the year's practically over. Everybody can take the rest of the year off of trading. No, I'm playing. Um, but that's kind of how I feel, to be completely honest. Um, so yeah, so today we're going to do the analysis, obviously, and we're going to go over last week's analysis, how it played out. I actually checked out of the charts last week. The last time I checked in on the charts, um, I saw that the NASDAQ was tanking into our liquidity pool that we marked last week on the macro time frame, which is sick. So I was thinking about, possibly trying to get into a swing trade on a Forex account to go back to the upside, but I haven't even checked if it's even broken structure or anything like that. So we'll get into that. But first, like always, we're going to start out with a prayer. I'm actually going to not read a psalm today, and I'm not going to pray my own led words today, but I'm actually going to read out of Matthew 6. And this is the famous prayer that we hear Messiah pray when he's showing his disciples how to pray. So you can find this in chapter 6 of the book of Matthew, and it's going to start on verse 9. So he leads into it. He says, "Therefore, do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask him." And this is when he starts his prayer. This then is the way you should pray. Our Father who is in the heavens, let your name be set apart. Let your reign come. Let your desire be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we have forgiven our debtors. And do not lead us into trial, but deliver us from the wicked one, because yours is the reign and the power and the esteem forever. Amen. So yeah, so that's actually the first time I've read that prayer in um, this new version I got. And usually it says kingdom, but it actually translated that to reign in this version, which is very interesting. Did not expect that, but I mean, what a beautiful prayer. Just to kind of like, I feel like the daily bread metaphor is something that we should be applying into every part of our life. Firstly, spiritual. You know what I mean? We need to be feeding on our spiritual bread, the word, every day, like every single day. And we need to develop and practice that discipline in doing that because then we have that discipline and we're grounded so that when we go and do things like trading, then we can go in with an attitude of, I'm just going to get my daily bread. I'm not going to overtrade and lose all of my profits. I'm not going to over leverage, right, and blow my account. I'm not going to do more than what I need to do just in this moment. And that's discipline, right? Um, so much wisdom for trading in the scriptures. I mean, so much wisdom for everything, but yeah. So be in the scriptures, y'all, every single day, because it is, we are flesh, but we are also spirit as humans, and we got to feed that spiritual side of us just as much as we need to feed our flesh side of us because we get hungry, right? We get lightheaded, we get low blood sugar, right? We might pass out, we might die if we don't eat. It's the same for our spirituality. We don't feed our spirit with our spiritual bread, the word, right? Then we're going to have a very unhealthy spiritual condition. And if you guys aren't aware, you know, if you're having things manifest in your life that is just like very negative, I guarantee you there's a spiritual cause to that. And the physical side of it is just a symptom. And that's a whole nother topic to go down for another time, which if you're listening to this and you want to talk about that, definitely message me. I'm on Discord, right? Come into the group if you're already in it. I love talking about this stuff. But that's, yeah, I'll just full stop right there. Um, so hallelujah. Praise our King because he is so good and he feeds us. Okay. So let's get into, first I'll pull up this is my trading, guys. This is why I quit last week because I took two trades and I got stopped out and then it hit take profit right after I got stopped out. Love that for myself. Okay. This is why trading is not for the weak or the faint-hearted. All right, so as usual, since it's the third of the month, we're also going to take a look at the monthly candle and see what we ended up with from our assumptions last week. Ooh, this is really like a surprise to me right now because I have not checked the charts at all. So I don't even know where they're at. I don't even know where AUD/USD is at either, which is another one we've been following. Okay. So sorry. Let me put my phone on DND. Um, okay. So let's look at the dollar first and foremost. What did we get? Oh, we got a very deep retracement. That was on Friday too. Okay. So we pretty much had a bit lower than pushes up into the next bullish objective, then rejects off of this to sell to the daily bullish order block or to further deeper retracement. So it looks like that's exactly what happened. Um, this was our high last week, right in here. And so we started out the week, we swept that high, and we did come into, let's see. We didn't come into these gaps that we had marked, but nonetheless, we did go higher. We just respected this high for now, at least. Um, but nonetheless, that option two did play out beautifully. We swept last week's high and then we started breaking down to the downside, tapped right into this order block and it rejected beautifully, making its way back up. It's still respecting. Yeah, I mean, this looks like a full rejection in my eyes. So unless we see price turn right here at a later time this week, I would expect it to keep going up. And then let's just look at our monthly. So we did end with this monthly order block that we were scouting out last analysis last week. Um, so I think that it's very possible to have the attitude. Let me just look at the 3 month again real quick before I say anything. Yeah, okay. So it's about that time. Yeah, we've come all the way up into this order block here that is bearish. All right. Um, Now, not only that, we have a monthly bullish order block, excuse me. So naturally, if you trade order blocks, we can like assume or anticipate is a better word that price is going to come down into this order block here and it's going to tap into it and then continue buying. Continue buying how high? That is to be determined. You know what I mean? So we could either get price buying up and then to make a lower low and then to continue to sell later on when we get another rate cut decision, which that is possibly going to happen in um is it December or is it this month? I think it's this month, honestly. I'm so sorry, guys. I know that we have actually looked at this news before and I'm completely forgetting whether or not it's this month. So sorry. That is just my brain. Okay, it's not this month. It's gonna be in December. So, oops, actually, let's keep that page though. But anyway, so yeah, so we do know that they are starting to um loosen, cut the rates, loosen the policy. So we will see a continuation down when it comes to the dollar at some point in time. Um, that is the assumption, unless something crazy happens that makes it do the opposite. I don't know what that would be. Um, I don't know. Maybe they make a deal that says that they're tying the dollar to the oil. I don't know. They already did that a while ago, but I'm just saying. So that my point in being is that we are going to see the dollar continue down at some point in time. Um, so yes, this is indicating bullishness, but that 3 month order block is indicating bearishness, right? So if we do get price selling into here, which is looking very much like we are going to be getting that, price probably will have a bullish reaction, but how high, I don't know. It could make a higher or a lower high here to continue down, or maybe we sweep this wick right here if we don't already do that, and then we go down. So, but again, this is on the monthly time frame, so please understand that this trajectory is very far out. So I'm just, I'm kind of just based off like the algorithmic, you know, movement. I'm just trying to kind of like create some sort of possible outcomes so that when I see things happening, I am not reacting out of emotion. I am responding out of ability. Wow, I just made that up. Okay, so as of right now, you guys already know that I love to see, like, especially on retracements and when price is trending in one direction. Anybody who anybody who watches my analyses regularly, you will know that I'm always going to anticipate a possible sweep of the last high before making that retracement. So based on the power of three as well, kind of like the weekly, how we say if price is going to be bullish, we want to see like some form of retracement or price getting below the Sunday opening price around Tuesday, Wednesday for that pivot to go and expand in a bullish direction. It's going to be the same thing with the monthly candle, right? So if I think price is going to have a bullish reaction off of this order block, then I'm going to do the same thing in the middle part of the month. At some point in time, I'm going to anticipate that pivot. So, so give me 1 second, y'all. Okay, sorry about that. So what I was saying is there's going to be time before that bullish movement, obviously. So there's plenty of time for, I don't know, maybe this takes a week, maybe this takes a week, right? And then we get a week here to go up, and then the next week it goes back down. Or we just continue to climb for the rest of those 2 weeks. So when I look at the weekly and I'm breaking this down, right? This is my monthly kind of like first half of the month trajectory. So I'm already seeing that there was a liquidity sweep, right, in our last month, or excuse me, our last week's candle. So I really like that. It tapped in, it filled this imbalance, it rejected very nicely, very beautifully. Um, it did break structure on the 4-hour time frame, as we can see right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark this. Okay. And then this wick is kind of tricky. And by tricky, I mean we're gonna use this high right here. So I'm gonna be watching this gap right here. And you could drop to a lower time frame to look for others, like see these down here, which I kind of do like that because obviously I see a consolidation right here where that means there's liquidity. All right, so we can mark that area too, I guess. Um, but anyway, in order for that liquidity grab to happen, for my monthly kind of outlook, um, I'm gonna look at something like this possibly, or down into here, right? But we're gonna just go right here, and then I want to see price take out this high because remember, we also want to see um, these gaps get filled. And I think that one was on the 2-week time frame. Yeah. So between this wick right here and this wick, there is a gap, and this is an unmitigated bearish order block. So for price to come and take out this high before it retraces lower, um, it would be using the liquidity gathered by closing this gap and by tapping into this order block to then make that turnaround. Okay. So, and it's already given me a strong indication that it is rejecting here, and that looks like a sweep to me. Um, so it's pretty clear on the hourly time frame. Okay, so that's kind of going to be my main weekly bias here. Another scenario that could happen that I could see happening. And guys, look, we also have a bear or a bullish daily order block right here. So there's really strong indication right now that price is going to continue higher. Um, could we possibly get price making a higher high or a lower high, excuse me, and are expecting this high right here? Absolutely. Um, I would just say maybe we could get something that's going to look like this. If price doesn't want to go and sweep that high and we just start turning around, like I'll absolutely entertain that idea as well because I can make all the assumptions I want, but at the end of the day, price is still going to do what it wants, and I got to be prepared for that. So this would be me being bullish for next week. Um, my thing here is like, I don't know, maybe we could get some sort of consolidation in the beginning part of the week, and then it sells here by like Tuesday, Wednesday to pivot and go into these areas of interest. Or it could just do this whole move between Sunday and Tuesday, and then we get up into here by Wednesday, and then we could see a turnaround, right, for the rest of the week. Because remember, we are possibly going to see price sell into that monthly bullish order block. Okay. So keeping that in mind though, remember this high right here, that is still part of that unmitigated 2-week order block. So we do have a pretty good amount of room for price to continue to come up in here if we are going to take out that high. So that being said, we'll make two versions of this, right? Delete that. I could see this scenario playing out in a way that makes price. Okay, so we could either have price come into here by Wednesday and then it's going to use this old high as support and then it keeps going up into that 2-week order block up here. We could see it completely be satisfied and turn around. Maybe it does make it up higher than just right here. I'm not like married to the idea that it has to stop right here. And then it pivots for us and we start getting that push to the downside. Um, if you guys know anything about why coughs, why I can't even say that word, but you know what I mean. That's what this would kind of look like, right? And this would be that final, what do they call it? I call it a liquidity sweep. It's all the same thing, guys. Like seriously. What do they call that? I can't remember what they call that. Um, but yeah. And then of course we do have our scenario where this high is respected and then we just see price falling downward. Um, but okay. Wait a minute. Gotta all caps that because we don't want to lose sight of that 3-month order block. Um, feel like I'm typing an essay right now. First month's high first before retracing into the monthly OP, possibly also grabbing higher bullish objectives. Price could also respect the current. Okay. So just really quickly, I'm gonna screenshot, but whatever Price wants to do in the first part of the month is going to give us a great indication of what is going to happen either in the second month, um, because like if we get a sweep of the high first, okay, um, and we get these objectives mitigated and it comes down in here, then that's going to make me more inclined to think that once price is done tapping into this order block, that it's going to come up to create a lower high. Why? Because in order to do that, we're going to have bearish structure after coming into this overarching area of resistance, showing a respect of that resistance. Um, Also, there's not many other objectives like all of the bullish objectives will be mitigated at that point, so price really will have no need to come back up into here. Of course, we always love a liquidity sweep, so game on. But if it doesn't grab these objectives first and then come down, then I'll be more inclined to think, okay, we might get a sweep before selling off in December, um, because there are still open objectives that have yet to be mitigated. And, the more manipulation, the better for these banks. Um, so yeah, so don't have to have it all figured out in the beginning part of the month, I guess you could say. Um, but I am expecting price to turn around and be bearish at some point in the near future. So, come on, why are we not loading? I think it's so funny that it takes me the longest to do the dollar, and I don't even like I really will not trade on the dollar. I used to trade the dollar on Forex and it was cool and all. Um, but they don't let me trade it with futures, which is really interesting. Um, but I haven't been trading Forex really that much, just futures. Um, but it's just funny because it takes me the longest every time. But you guys know how I trade that watch my videos, and you know that the dollar is very important. Um, it's like a plumb line of understanding, because if you understand how the dollar affects everything, then you're going to be able to use the dollar to your advantage. And the dollar's price action is a lot easier to understand than an index's price action. So when in doubt, just look at the dollar, because how the dollar moves is really how the world is moving, kind of, to be so for real, because we're the reserve currency. I mean, the dollar is the reserve currency. So it's always worth it to kind of just look at the dollar. Tells you a lot of information. So what was our option one? Price opens a bit higher than bullish. Then pivots to the downside, ending in. Honestly, we could get that pivot depending on how high price wants to go. We could get that pivot and a sell like back down into just where price came from, honestly, and we could get something that looks like a doji star, or like a hammer candle. Hammer stick. I don't really remember what the actual names are. I haven't really studied candlesticks and candles themselves in a long time because I don't really trade that way, but I still understand what it means when a candle anyway looks a certain way. Um so yeah, so that could also be another possibility. I'm not gonna add that in with arrows because I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Um but yeah. And then I'm just gonna like copy and paste this on option two because it's basically the same. Okay. And then on option three is price buys off the daily bullish will be, but it respects the current high of last month and turns and begins to trend downward. Cool. Okay. So there's our dollar. Let's move on to NAS. I almost skipped the dollar because I'm really curious to see what happened with NAS since the last time we looked or I looked at it. Um, because like whenever I do my analysis, and there's just sometimes when it's so accurate, like I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, I'm like so good at this and whatever. And you know what I mean? I'm not gonna, that's not my claim, but there are times when my analysis is like crazy on point, if not for the whole week, at least like one portion of it. And that's really all you need, guys. You don't need to be right about every part of your analysis. As long as you can catch one super awesome move, you're big chillin'. Um, but if you just understand the concept of power of three, guys, like if there's any one concept that I would say will just literally make you good for life when it comes to trading, it is the concept of power of three. It's just understanding the movement of the candle and what goes on inside the candle. And you can use that on any time frame. You can use it as a scalper, a swing trader, intraday, long-term. Um, so I would highly recommend that Thursday. So we got down into the liquidity by Thursday, and then we kind of just retraced on Friday here. So I would say this is like a really healthy week, honestly. And then you see, I already showed you guys my trades. My failure of trades last week. That was very depressing. Um, so yeah, so just like a little to tap onto that power three. So like you see right here, we had price open on Sunday and it opened in a gap, right? So we had a little push up on Monday and then price sold into that gap to fill it. Swept a little extra here, tapping into this order block. Okay, looking at this stuff in hindsight, it's just like robotic. Like I don't understand how anyone can say that this is not an algorithm. But anyway, and then we went up right on Tuesday, and then here we are Wednesday London session. And that is when we pivoted for the week on Wednesday. and then we just came down. So power of three, right? We had a bearish week. We had this huge liquidity pool that I was predicting was going to pull price to it. And so if I'm bearish for the week, then I'm going to anticipate a pivot on Tuesday, Wednesday time that's going to be probably like 8 out of 10 times is okay, let me lower that chance. 6 to 7 out of 10 times it's going to be above under Sunday opening price. So it's just textbook. We had this structure break right here. Price came to fill in this displacement and then it's just sold off for the rest of the week. And we had, so like this week is literally such a textbook power of three understanding. Um, right? Because you have your open, you have your liquidity engineering. So that would be all of this movement in here, right? We're just zigzagging, we're just picking up orders, and then surprise, we're gonna go this way. That's literally what power three is. So yeah, so we made it into this liquidity pool. I would say because we took this low, if price had come into here and respected this low, I would not say that. I would just say that price is obviously respecting the trend. Um, but nope, we did. We came in here, we grabbed this liquidity. It does, I'm not seeing signals that price is going to stop here necessarily. I will entertain the idea that price just wants to turn around and go back up now. But just looking at this wick right here and looking at the way that like let's just go back to the 4 hour. I mean, look at there's still so much to fill down here. And there's that order block. Let's see if there's actually anything to fill. Hmm. So this would be right here. This would be where our gap is. Everything looks filled below it. On a lower time frame, maybe not, but I'm gonna entertain this gap right here on that 1 hour. This is gonna be our next objective. Now, this gap right here that happened on the daily, we've been eyeballing this gap for forever, to be completely honest. And I just know price is going to come back to it because it's not very often that, like, this gap is a gap between wicks that, like, but this gap right here, there's literally no candles. So I just know price is going to come back there because that is like, it's got to get filled. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much orders in here that price literally leaped, right? Um, But yes, but we're gonna focus on this close one right here for now. We also have a bearish weekly order block. So let's go ahead and delete that real quick. Yeah, I'll leave this here. I'll leave that there. Oh yeah, let's not forget that these two highs right here are sus, super sus because they're like really equal to each other. So we're also gonna leave that marked because you just really never know sometimes where price wants to sweep. But yeah, we have an order block, so pretty super simple. Let's just throw our Fibonacci on it. Um, let's just say that price wants to come to the 30, and then we're going to continue to sell down into our next objective that we have marked here. Um, I could say that price also may want to do this and then come up into here and then come down all the way into here. Um, I'm not really, I'll be watching on Sunday and Monday, see where price goes first. Um, And then, like I said, we could just entertain the idea that price just wants to turn around where it's at and go and make that high because the indices do that all this freaking time. And if you're not ready for it, you will miss it. I've missed it a million times. Um, so we're just going to entertain that. This would be like probably a Tuesday, Wednesday, and we're just going to trend higher. Maybe even a Monday, honestly. it doesn't need to come this low. It doesn't need to get into this objective. Um, Maybe even just sweep last week's low and that's it. And then we see a turnaround. Um, so that's kind of where I am currently. I'm gonna just look at this upcoming week's news. Oh yeah, we have AUD cash policy rate. Oh my gosh, it's the election on Tuesday. Wow, I'm so out of it. I've literally been just studying other topics other than basically everything else. I'm not really like in Forex. I've been so checked out. I've just been like studying books and like all these different things. So I'm really not even paying attention. But I cannot tell you how excited I am that this election is happening on Tuesday because I'm done hearing about it. It's just like it's really starting to get on my nerves. I mean, I'm young, but I've never heard of an election. Like, they're just becoming too much. Our elections are becoming too much. People are way too identified, and it's like, it's just so divisive at this point, and it's really counterproductive. So, presidential election, yeah, don't trade on Tuesday. Don't trade on Tuesday. Um, let's see, unemployment, FOMC. Oh, wait a minute. Yo, I'm tweaking. We do have FOMC this week. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be a rough ride. Okay, well, that makes perfect sense then. So we could get that sweep that we talked about on the dollar to the upside between Sunday and Wednesday and perfect pivot, right? And be none other than the federal funds rate being dropped. But there is questions as to whether or not they're going to drop it this actual cycle. They might wait until December. I cannot believe I missed that, guys. That was almost catastrophic to my trading. Yeah, I'm gonna have to study up on this because I'm gonna see what the attitude is. Um, because they might not cut it again so soon. They might just cut it in December. Um, Dang, that's crazy. Federal rate and presidential election in the same week. This is going to be a crazy week. And AUD, which we're going to look at that at the end of this. Oh, yeah, let's not forget to look at the monthly real quick. I just look like a ginormous rejection candle. I do not like this price action right here. This is not cute. I'm like, what is that? What? Okay. Okay, we're gonna look at the 3 month. Oh, it's even uglier. It really just looks like it's rejecting on the monthly. So I'm entertaining a bearish movement. This will be really interesting to see um what happens. How this reacts to the presidential election, truthfully. I honestly cannot say that I know. But I feel like CEOs of these multi-million dollar companies, I think that they know more than we do about stuff. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm satisfied with that. Okay, I have not even checked on Dow either. Um, Looks like we kind of have an indecision candle. Um, where did we start out last week? So we did sell into this liquidity that we had marked. It looks like we did tap into that order block. We are literally so close to filling in this gap, right? We have the same gap that we have on NASDAQ, also on Dow Jones. Um, we're so close. I don't see why it wouldn't go into that gap this week, to be completely honest with you. It's right there. We did come into this liquidity, so we do have a bullish reaction off of it. Um, but it looks like it's rejecting again, just like we see on NASDAQ. So I'm gonna go ahead though and mark like all of this liquidity. You know what? I'm just gonna mark these ones. So, couple things. I could see like this happening because like we could get these highs taken out, this trend line liquidity. We can come in here and fill the rest of this imbalance. This is probably, I don't know. I don't want to say that. This could be an order block on another time frame. And then we come into here, right? So this would be our Tuesday, Wednesday. I think we could absolutely just come into here and then come up into this liquidity. And then whether or not it wants to continue and go higher, um, that would have to be determined at that time, or if it just wants to sell from here. That would also, like, that would have to be determined at that time. But I do see liquidity resting here. There is definitely an imbalance that needs to be filled here. Um, there is definitely a lot of gaps down here too that could be taken out. Just on the weekly, if we were to sweep this trend line liquidity and come up here, that would be filling in this imbalance that we're seeing on the weekly. So that checks out. We also have an order block up here that price could possibly come into and tap into and then sell off. Maybe if we get that trend higher, like this one, that's what that's buying into before selling off, or again, possibly continuing higher. But just going back to I'm really like kind of really biased for the bearish movement this at least into here this upcoming week. Um, I would say that it's just hard with wicks when they break below a structure, but yeah, I'm just gonna leave that there. I'm not gonna say. So last week's candle, obvious, or last month's candle, excuse me, is all also indicating a rejection to the upside. If you guys remember, price did come up and meet its negative 27. I think it was here that we did when it retraced. I don't know where we did that. But we had our objective when it made its new high to hit on the bullish side, and it did hit that, and we have a wick that is indicating rejection right here. So even if we just wanted to like throw a fib on this candle alone, we could see that the 38%, the 50%, the 61%, and even possibly all the way up to the 78, which is telling me this is where that weekly bearish order block is resting. That all checks out. Um, so I actually really like this price action a lot. I do. I like it a lot, actually. There's clear liquidity. So if one gets swept, then I know where it's headed next. So I do. I like this. I like this chart a lot. Okay. Okay. So this number two is like a combination of this one. All right, so that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and look at our AUD USD as we have been. If you're on last week and we were talking about it, you know that I was like, yeah, we're going to be looking for the pivot when price action or when we get that rate decision. And it's actually crazy because AUD and USD both have a rate decision this upcoming week. So this will be very interesting. Um, and this is the futures chart. We can go on our Forex chart, which is where we have our markings. So remember, we came up into here, swept these liquidities. Price gave us a nice reaction. It sold below this structure point. It seems to be filling imbalances and tapping into this order block. Um, I'm not convinced that it's breaking structure to become bearish because again, our macros on this pair are bullish. Okay. USD's lowering rates. So because this is not the base pair, that is going to push price high on this pair. And AUD is expected to higher rates within the next year or possibly just stay where they're at. Okay, so um, the US dollar is always going to carry the most weight. Um, you know what I mean? And if we're weakening, then that's going to push this type of pair higher, especially if AUD is also either strengthening or just staying where it's at. So I do suspect to see a turnaround on that. So macros were bullish and we were bullish for a while. It's only been recently that we've been getting this huge retracement, but now it's so clear why, because I wasn't expecting another rate cut until December. Um, but if we are going to get one this week, I mean, this is actually in perfect position. Um, we're in order block. We filled everything. We grabbed the liquidity of this low after grabbing this liquidity. Um, so this could be our moment where we get catapulted back all the way up. I'll mark this here. And I'll be waiting for some sort of break of structure, set my alarms. But yeah, so all right guys, well thank you so much for watching. I am so blessed to have you here and I hope that you have a very, very, very blessed trading week. All right guys, talk to you next week.